Welcome to Focus on Southeast, a monthly program on issues and events impacting the campus of Southeast Missouri State University. I'm Dan Woods, General Manager of KRCU Public Radio, Southeast Missouri's NPR station. Today we're talking with Southeast President Dr. Carlos Vargas. On our agenda today, we'll talk about a record number of freshmen for the fall and a record retention rate, what caused students to be moved from one of the wings of the Dearmont Residence Hall, and the status of Cheney Hall. All that and more is coming up on Focus on Southeast. Dr. Vargas, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Dan. It's good to see you.
Good to have you here. Let's start with some recent news, and that is the naming of the Russ Center for Media. What can you tell us about that new center?
Well, we're very excited about that because this is a culmination of a series of conversations and actions that we've been taking in the recent past. It was the result of the effort that Gary and Wendy's sons have put in motion to try to honor their father. And we were able, after these conversations, to actually agree on moving our production facilities lab from the mass media department to the Broadway area where the Ross Center for Media is. The Ross Center for Media is a name that we have agreed on for this particular laboratory. So we're very excited. The students are going to have an opportunity to work there, literally side by side to professionals in the field. They're going to be interacting with the Southeast Missourian. The Arrow is going to be there too, and they're going to be also able to interact with the KFVS individuals. So overall, it's very nice. The Regents, the Board of Regents, approved the naming on September 9th in the most recent meeting, and the actual dedication is going to be taking place on October 7th at the address is 325 Broadway.
Very exciting for Southeast students, especially involved in the mass media department.
I think this is a unique opportunity, and I am so glad because it really puts the university really in a position of being a very engaged institution. And as you know, institutions increasingly are being asked to really show how they are engaged with the community that they live in, and so that's an example of that. And of course, we have other ways of showing that through Catapult, the Creative House, and so that we have there. So the presence of the university in the downtown area has only been increasing, and it has been the result also of the fact that the community, in this case is the Rex family, the Ross family, have been making to help us make sure that we are visible down there. And the winners are our students. Our programs become much more visible, and it gives them the opportunity to really be engaged in a very professional environment even before graduating. So it's really exciting.
Well, the fall semester got off to a great start, a record number of freshmen and a record retention rate. What do you think contributed to that great start for the fall semester?
It is hard to identify with a lot of accuracy exactly what contributed, but I believe that the recent effort and culmination of our branding initiative, our marketing efforts has actually contributed. I think that the community, the region in general, has seen the university as being more visible, and I think we have made an effort to communicate more explicitly and effectively the kind of institution we are, which is a high-quality institution. Our effort has been to try to make Southeast into a destination school, a place that students apply to, but not as the fourth or fifth option, but really the first or second. And I think that that's what we're seeing right now. The community has responded very well. Our enrollment for freshman students was up about 10%, which is very significant. And so we're almost at the same level as we were last year in terms of headcount. And we're going to continue working, of course. We're making very clear efforts into recruitment of students in areas where we may not have been that visible in the past. And I think word of mouth is very powerful. I think that the students, at least the interaction that I have with students, has been very positive. And I think that they communicate that to friends or in the areas where they live, where they come from, and that just gives some level of comfort to parents, families, that this is the place to come to.
Let's talk about Dearmont. There at I guess the second week of the fall semester, there was an issue in the Dearmont Residence Hall which caused some students to be relocated. What actually happened in Dearmont?
Yeah. What happened is a convergence of certainly the students moving in, and also the fact that the weather became, it was very hot at that time, and so the power consumption was exceeded the levels that the system could withstand. And in the past, in the recent past, we actually had replaced the power system for 2 of the wings, A and D, but B and C had not been looked at that point yet. And so one of them, B in particular, broke down, and that left about 51 students without power. So we immediately looked into it. We identified the problem and realized that the solution to it was to actually replace the transformer that we have and the distribution panel. But the transformer is something that has to be built. It's not something you just get off the shelf, and so the rebuilding is what's taken a number of weeks. So we expect that by the beginning of the spring semester, we'll be able to move into that wing. So.
Speaking of residence halls, let's talk a little bit about Cheney Hall, which was closed on August 5th of 2015 and was closed for the 2015-2016 academic year, and still closed this academic year. What are the plans for Cheney Hall at this point?
Well, we are in the process of determining what the use of Cheney Hall is going to be. One thing that I'd like to say up front to make sure that there's no doubt is there's really no plans to tear Cheney Hall. I mean, the idea that we would demolish that building and build something else there is not one that we are considering at all. So the question really is, what are we going to be using it for? And so right now we're in conversations trying to determine whether it's going to be a residence hall or whether we're going to be using it for other purposes like offices and maybe classrooms or something like that. So that's where we are right now. As you know, actually we tried to get moving with that, but then the bids that we received were a little bit higher than we had budget for, so we had to go back to the drawing board, and now we're moving forward with it, and we're going to be making a decision about the use of the building in the near future.
All right, well, let's take a short break. And when we continue our conversation with Dr. Vargas, we'll ask him about the plans for the River Campus's 10th anniversary celebration and about his summer trip to Costa Rica and Panama. And later, Dr. Vargas will answer questions submitted by Southeast faculty, staff, and students. You're watching Focus on Southeast. We'll be right back.